So Bandai Namco just released 15 minutes of Elden Ring gameplay, and that's cool and all, but there's something really cool about it that I bet a lot of people didn't really pay a lot of attention to. See, before the gameplay began, we had about half an hour of this screen. Let me tell you something. They played 3 tracks from the Elden Ring OST. For me, that's almost more exciting than the gameplay, and here's why. So the first song that we hear, it sounds very perilous. There's a lot of really cool staccato riffs going on with the strings, and I feel like this one is probably an enemy encounter within the world. I don't think it's for a boss. The reason why is because it's a little slower and there's danger, but it's not necessarily like, ooh, I'm definitely gonna die 10 times before I get over this. Anyway, so with this one I get a feel of, it's a bit more sinister than Dark Souls 3, for example, and I think that that's the benchmark that I'm gonna base this soundtrack off. It definitely is the most similar of all of the FromSoft games. There's a tinge of the Bloodborne vibe in there, and I think that comes from that very rushed string line. As loops go, it's not that long, but it's long enough that it could repeat and not feel too repetitive. I found that Neo had a problem with that the encounter music was just starting to do my head in after a while. So one of the things that stood out to me already is this bit. And I love this. Just so cool. So let's rock out to it. Feel one build too much. Now the second track, yes, I do think that's a boss theme, because the way that it builds, first of all, is really nice. It builds over time. The one thing that led me to believe that it wasn't a boss track was that there was no distinguishable first and second phase like there normally is. Like there's a bit of a jolt in the soundtrack towards the second phase, and I didn't really get that, but what I did get was this long build. But it's also much more menacing than the first one. It's also in 3/4, and 3/4 to many is a waltz. And when you think of a waltz, you don't think of big environments and lots of people. You think of 2 people together working in unison, and normally you've quite a round motion, which is great because the combat in FromSoft games is very circular. You know, you're trying to get behind your enemy, get out of the area of effect. So I think that could be a boss encounter, or it could even be a mini boss encounter, because I think there's a lot of those in this game. One of the things that really got me was the bells, because first of all, it's very Undertaker, and second of all, it brings that Bloodborne vibe that we're just... Yeah, it's awesome. I'm seeing a complete blending of all of FromSoft's best skill going into this game. I'm very excited to play it. Then there's the third track, okay? So this was beautiful, and I'm so glad that they decided to put in one of the more ambient sounds, because you don't want it to all just be ground and pound all the time, despite what you might think listening to my music. So I feel like this piece of music is probably for an area, maybe not a dungeon as such, but it feels very significant, so maybe a kind of endgame area, or a point where we find out quite a lot of lore, which, let's be honest, we're not expecting it to be happy, are we? The thing that this piece does, and it's something that Japan do, the East does very well, that the West just doesn't, it uses silence. It uses silence for accentuation, and believe me, if you think of Studio Ghibli and the films that they make, one of the things that has always stood out to me is the quietness. They do have some beautiful soundtracks, but listen to Spirited Away, for example. You've got that space between the pianos, and it really is a wonder that we haven't figured this out yet. I'm hearing beautiful harp accents in there as well. They're subtle, but they just add a little bit more flavour. It's like putting a little bit of oregano in your bolognese. I think there's a little bit of a hurdy-gurdy sound going on. I don't know if it's hurdy-gurdy. It sounds like it, or it could just be a long-bowed viola, just really low, or something like that. But it's a really consistent drone, and that adds another kind of ground to the piece, where it's not exciting, it's lamenting. It's an augmentation of what's going on as opposed to trying to show itself off. But yeah, that's definitely the vibe that I get from this piece. It's significant. It's beautiful as well. I can't get my head around how beautiful it is. So just do yourself a favour and listen to it a few times. It's so nice. I can't tell you how excited I am for this game and all that comes with it. I'm definitely going to have to get the pre-order bundle that comes with the soundtrack. How can I not? I also don't know if it would be great for me to do something with it as well. So let me know if you'd like to hear some Elden Ring inspired content. We're working on a lot. We have this Hollow Knight Pantheon 5 video. Which is 40 minutes long, 45 I think if you count the fat either side, and that is going to be brilliant, and Luke's just rewriting the drums for me now. I can't wait to get that uploaded, so please wait for that. If you liked this and you like what I'm doing, please listen to some of my music, because that is the number one most important thing for me. If you like this kind of format and me speaking, I did a video on Dark Souls and their soundtrack. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit bells, stick around, do all those good things. Tell all your friends about that one guy who's on YouTube. So that's about 6 minutes of music, and that really was a highlight for me. I was so pleased. I thought the video started and I saw the countdown. I was like, I'm going to have to wait like half an hour to listen to this game. Best half hour of my life. So, you know, thanks Bandai.